The exterior challenges on this project were huge. You only need to look around and see the small people in the distance against the building. It's a huge building. It's the third largest mosque in the world. The main dome that's there is marginally smaller in height than the main dome, or the dome on St. Paul's Cathedral in London. The prayer hall is longer than the nave of St. Paul's Cathedral in London. And that is just one small part of this building, whereas the nave of St. Paul's is primarily the whole of St. Paul's. This kind of comparison is interesting for us when we're thinking about scale of an idea and scale of approach. But then when you add on to this the scale, the size of the Sahan and the colonnades and everything else that make up this building, the size was immense. That had an implication with regard to the quantity of pieces of equipment that we had to use, how we could conceal them, the risk in terms of aspects of the project with regard to the technology and the idea. And for us, whilst we are incredibly happy with and confident with both the idea and the result, we had to make sure the client was as well. I also think that in terms of challenges, the control system that operates everything in this building was an immense challenge as well. And the ability for us to be able to address this number of instruments and units around the building on this scale is highly unusual in architectural senses. Certainly we've never worked on a building of this scale before with this quantity of technology units controlled in this particular way. We've worked on similar scales of buildings, but this is a unique and quite wonderful example of what we believe to be a fascinating concept and hopefully a great result. The requirements for an outside lighting fixture for this project were quite varied. We were looking for a unit that could deliver something quite unique across this scale of project. We were looking for a luminaire that was reliable, that would give long service, that would be easy to maintain in this part of the world. We were looking for a luminaire that had a reporting system that would help this and facilitate the ease of maintenance across the building. But I suppose above all else, reliability was probably the most important thing. We wanted to have the confidence that this project would look as good as it does now for years and years to come in the future without having an army of people looking after it. Our involvement in the development of the Martin 1200 really came about from discussions we had in the studio with regard to what would achieve the conceptual idea that we had for the building. And in terms of the importance of also having intensity as well as this variation, this textural variation on the building, we discussed and debated several manufacturers. And the one manufacturer we felt was the best people to speak to was really Martin in Denmark. And in essence, we were keen to utilize the Martin 2000 professional fixture, guts within the fixture, but housing it in a well-engineered, well-constructed housing that would survive these rather warm environments in which the fixture would have to be sitting in all the time. The important features really were brightness, colour, in terms of both the white light condition as well as the ability to shift through the blue range of colours that we need for this design. A subtle animation wheel, and the aspect of reliability and reporting. So really these elements were the key things. We weren't too bothered about the size. Because in the scale of this building it didn't really matter. So if the size of the fixture grew a little bit because it was better to make it cooler, to make it operate better, those didn't worry us too much. The importance of the RDM system for us was kind of a critical deal. There are 1,213 Martin products on this project, with their own level of complexity and sophistication. The reporting process to help the maintenance team was so important to make sure that the building looks good every single night without having to rely upon considerable numbers of people crawling over the building every single evening, making sure that everything is working properly. What we wanted was a reporting system that would enable the maintaining people of this building to get a report so they could send 1 or 2 people out, if required, to go and service a single product here or a single luminaire there, and not to have people going out there proactively trying to find out if things have a problem or not. We wanted to have these people responding, reacting very quickly. And the implication, if we didn't have the RDM, is that literally every night there would be a need for maybe 6 to 12 people walking over every single area, checking every single light fixture to make sure everyone was working. And that is patently just not sensible. So we certainly see a future for the RDM system around the world and our projects, because if that helps to make sure the buildings are maintained well, then it means that the investment from our clients in terms of the lighting component of their buildings is returned back sensibly. There is nothing worse in our minds to walk back to a building that's opened a year or 2 years ago and walk around and see it poorly maintained, especially if we bothered to make sure it's easy to maintain. But it's just laziness, lack of investment, or other reasons why that it's not being maintained. And as far as we're concerned, it's just a waste of the client's money if they're not willing, after a building's finished, to look after it. We just don't get that. But that's why the RDM system, I think, for us is important. This technology really was selected because, to be very honest, there's nothing else that would really deliver this on this scale. We could possibly get into digital projector technology, but quite frankly, in terms of the reliability issues and the color balancing of digital projectors across this scale, we were very, very worried that that was just too impractical, as well as incredibly expensive. And so we felt that a more traditional but cutting-edge approach was far better.